I hope also my dogs don't start barking a lot. Yeah, it has started. So if it is okay with you, we can just wait for a little minute so people can start joining. For now, there are 2 people. Yeah, that's good. We won't be able to listen to them. I don't know if you will be able to see what they write, but if you don't, there's a place here where I can give you the questions they do. And how long have you been inside your house?
I've been here for about a month.
Month, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here for years. Retired.
Well, here is quite the same. I think it has been 40 years. There's only one thing, I can listen to my own voice back.
Oh, to see people.
When I talk, sometimes I can listen to myself again.
Right.
They're saying hello from Chile.
Hello. Yeah, so we have hello.
Can you see those messages?
Yes, yes, we have them live comments.
Yeah, we see them.
Great. So for the people that are watching, we will wait 5 more minutes, so if more people can join us better. But if they can't, this will be on YouTube after we finish, so it's okay. But they will miss the chance to maybe ask something if we have time to answer them. Well, not we, maybe you. and I add my short experience. So for the people watching, do you listen to us? Okay. From Monterrey. Wow, Mexico. I'm very happy because many people are like receiving this idea very well. And they are watching and they are asking questions.
Now, are they watching on YouTube or on this?
They are watching us on YouTube. They cannot see this broadcast studio.
Okay.
One friend of mine is saying that everything's okay. And then I will take some time to add Spanish subtitles. So I think we're okay to start.
All right. I'm okay. Pam is okay.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much for being here with me and with everybody who's listening to us. I'm sorry if my English is not that good. I haven't talked in English for a long time, so I may say that you don't need no introduction, but still, today I'm talking with Kim Taylor Sensei. He's from Canada. Thank you very much. I'm Pam, the Samurai Morgan. Thank you very much, folks, for being here.
It's a pleasure.
So as I told you off camera, this idea was trying to have entertaining but useful chat with people with more experience than we are, but me. And having the chance to maybe share a bit of conversations I had the pleasure to have with other people when I travel. And I know some people can't travel as I did. So I think it's nice to share these conversations with others. So I usually have like kind of topics to talk about, but I know that I have been reading your post in Facebook, and I think you have a blog.
I used to. Now it's just on Facebook now.
On Facebook. But there are lots of interesting thoughts on Facebook. So I kind of chosen some of them just to start talking about something, and then maybe we can go anywhere where the conversation takes us.
Sure. Good. Whoops. Oh, okay.
So, for example, one of them was about the growth of ourselves, you said. And you said something that stuck in my mind years ago. That was no amount of polishing a brick will ever make a mirror. I don't know if you remember that specific line.
Yeah, that specific line was not mine. It's a Zen. It's a Zen story, and it basically, the story is that a gardener was out in the garden working, and he listened to the abbot as he made comments and whatnot, and he began. One of his students, I think, began talking about polishing a mirror, and this gardener started to polish a brick, and that's when the abbot knew that he had it. He got it. No amount of trying to make your techniques perfect is going to get you to the underlying meaning of Budo.
Mm-hmm.
One of my pet peeves, I'm going to put this up again because I talk with my hands. One of my pet peeves in Budo, or sorry, one of my projects is try to get people away from, you've heard of a Zen sickness? Well, I think there's a Sete sickness where we try too much to correct and correct and correct. So we really need to get past the corrections. We need to get past the trying to be perfect, because no amount of polishing a brick will make it a mirror. So no amount of working over and over and over for years and years to try to perfect the correct angle is ever going to get you to the meaning of Iaido. The meaning of any martial art, as far as that's concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So, something came out of my head. Sorry. Yeah. Next.
Yeah. For example, that made me think. Made me think about that last year we had a seminar here in Argentina with. I'm like you, like my thought went away. Like Parker Sensei, and we asked, okay, please Sensei, could you give us any advice to think what to look for when you train for? We don't train for an exam, but it's kind of a guide. So what should we look for to improve our Iaido for fourth dan? And she said, okay, now read the book and try to understand why. Not the position of the sword, that's why you need to be in that position, or why you think it's asking you for that.
Yes. And you were asking about fourth dan?
Fourth dan, yes.
Yeah.
Asking about fourth dan. Okay, yeah. So 1, 2, 3 is simply learning the kata. So up to Godan, it's learning the kata. We're talking about the Kendo Federation here for anybody who's not in the Kendo Federation. So Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, we expect you to be learning the kata. At Sandan, we say you must know the kata. Well, what does that mean? It means that you should be able to do, if we say for, hello, Gasper. If we say for, if we say do ganmanate, you should be able to do it right away without us showing you how to do it. So that's the end of third dan. In the book, it says third dan, you need to be able to do proper nukitsuke, proper kiritsuke, proper chubure, and proper noto. Well, what is proper kiritsuke? Kishimoto Sensei was here one time, and at a judging seminar, he said, we asked them, we expect them to do proper kiritsuke, but for cutting, we don't expect a proper cut until fifth dan. So what does that mean? Do it correctly. Well, it means to do it correctly for third dan. And to do it correctly for third dan, what it means is that you can do the technique. You have the right angle, you know that it comes across, and then you know that it comes down. And that's it.
Yeah.
Really expect you to understand why you're doing it. So as Parker Sensei said, when you go to fourth dan, you have to start asking the question, why am I doing this? So fourth, fifth dan is much more, there's much more meaning in the kata. At sixth dan, 6, 7, and 8, a lot of other things come into it. The way you approach your Iaido. Kigurai is one that people are always talking about. And Kigurai, it just means the way that you practice, which comes from long practice. So the way you approach things, which comes from a confidence in knowing how to do it. You know you can do it. So when you go for a 6 dan test, if you go out there in front of a panel for 6 dan and you look like you're nervous, you look like you're hesitant, you look like you're asking in your head, you look like you're asking, please give me this grade, you'll fail. That's not it. You're not there. When you get to the point where somebody says, okay, out on the floor, demonstrate 5 kata, and you simply pick up your sword, walk out and demonstrate 5 kata, that's when you're beginning to understand Kigurai. So what she meant was what she said was exactly what you should take it as. Start asking why you are cutting this way, why you are cutting that way. This would begin to let you understand the technique itself, but it will also let you understand the meaning behind the techniques. You'll never go onto a battlefield and use a kata. It won't work. So what you need to do is you need to understand the lessons. And this is the why. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? What is my opponent doing? Now you do EI, so you have run across this problem. If you're partner practice like Jodo, it's a lot easier to understand what your opponent is doing because he's right there. You can see him. In Iaido, you have what's called a kaso teki, an invisible teki, and you have to start inventing what he's doing. You have to start getting him to do something. And in Iaido, once you do that, that's great. So your movements begin to make sense to somebody who understands Iaido. If you are still working like a Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, then to somebody who's high ranked, your movements will be a dance. They'll be a little bit mechanical. They won't make a lot of sense. But past that, if you're working at it, if you're asking why, then when you get past that stage, somebody watching will say, ah, that's why. Ah, that's why. In the last couple of days, Yeah?
No, sorry.
Okay. In the last couple of days, I've been asked questions about a couple of videos that went on quite a long time ago. And one was Jodo Sensei, an Eidan who we practiced with in Vancouver a few years ago. Very nice man. And he was doing the Hakone demonstration, which is the Eidan competition in Japan. And when he started, there was a bit of hesitation, a bit of stop and start. And my comment to the person who asked me, what do you think about this? My comment was that he was fighting Seite because it's a Koryu competition. And he started out with his Seite etiquette. And you could see him. You could see his mind saying, "Oh no, not that one." And then, damn, what am I supposed to do now? I don't remember how to do my opening Jikiden. Some people would say that was terrible. That was just a horrible performance because it wasn't perfect. I think it was wonderful because obviously he didn't practice. He did not stay at home for a week and a half and practice for that competition. They said it's by invitation. So they said, "Sensei, will you please come and compete?" And he said, yes. And he showed up and they said, "Okay, these are the rules." And he said, "Okay." And wait a minute, I'm not supposed to do this etiquette. I'm supposed to do it. That's fine. So and it wouldn't have bothered him. That's Kigurai. That's an example of that, where he just futzed about a little bit, had a little hitch, but just carried on.
So I remember the one time I was at your you said, "Okay, stop thinking about the position of your weapon or the cut, and start looking where your Iaido is stronger." And I think that some people think of that like being more stiff. You say stiff. Like, what could you explain what you meant about looking for where your Iaido gets stronger?
Okay, you cut out a little bit there, but I think what you're asking is if I said Nukitsuke and I asked you to do it more strongly, am I right?
I think you're
okay. This is my second brain, by the way. So when you're starting out, for some reason, you think that a sword is a club. You think it's a baseball bat. So when you cut Nukitsuke, if I say, "Do it stronger," you'll swing harder. Yeah. Harder, not stronger. Stronger is to connect the tip of the weapon to the back foot. That's stronger. So the next time, I'll give you something to work on. The next time that you're doing Iai and you're doing Mai, the first kata, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to stamp. Most people are told, well, you should stamp as a beginner, and then seniors don't stamp. So of course, every beginner that was stamping will stop instantly because obviously they're a senior, they're not a beginner. But as a senior, you should stamp. And the reason for that is that when you stamp down at the front, it will lift your back knee just a tiny bit. You don't need to lift the knee off of the floor, but you need to take that weight that's on your knee, and you need to transfer that to the back foot. So you need to take the weight off of the knee. You need to relax it just a little bit. And when you do that, it will connect the tip of your sword into the back foot. And you'll find that that cut is much more strong than one with your knee on the ground. Just give it a try, and you should find that. The mechanics reason for that is that if you've got your weight on your knee and your right foot is forward and your knees down and you hit, think about being knocked backward. If you don't have any power in that back foot, then you don't have any power in the cut.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of when I say get stronger, I don't mean try harder. I mean, actually, mostly I mean relax. What's the karate saying? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Sorry, I couldn't listen to you.
Are we there? Oh, there we are.
I don't think we're
We're okay. Yeah, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So slow down, make it more smooth, and it will speed up. If you try to go fast, it just won't happen.
Yes, because you will start doing it harder.
That's right. And everything will. Have you ever done any Aikido?
No, I've only done Iaido and Kendo.
Okay, in Aikido we have this stupid sensei trick, and it's the unbendable arm. So if you turn toward me here, okay, are you still in? All right. So if I just put my hand on Pam, can you see my fingers there?
Yeah.
So they're kind of wiggly.
Let me do something. Maybe we can. Yep. Now, yes.
There. Is that better? Okay. So there's my fingers there on Pam, and if I do this and try with strength to do this, and she loads up on there, eventually I'm going to give up. My muscles are going to give up. But if I just let that old man muscle there flop around and the fingers are flying, and she does the same thing, what's happening? Come on, you can do harder than that. What's happening is that I'm only using one set of muscles to resist her. Okay? So muscles that extend are under here. And that's amazing. I don't need that. If you look really carefully when I'm doing this, maybe you'll see that the little finger is not as floppy as the rest of them. It's just so what it means is don't fight yourself. Don't fight yourself. No.
Okay. So there's a question here. I will show it. Said, in Jodo, is the same state of mind as Iaido until sundown?
Yes. Yes. For every in Kendo.
Yes.
Whenever in the Kendo Federation, whenever we talk about grading and levels, we really do talk about the same thing. So in Iaido and Jodo, we take the instruction from Kendo. In Kendo, they say, first dan, second dan, third dan, you should be learning how to do the techniques. And then fourth, fifth, you should be working harder at it and getting better at it. And 6, 7, 8, you should be bringing in other things like dignity and hinkaku and all that sort of stuff. And at 8 dan, you should understand the principles. So the Riai is the highest level, to understand the principles behind the kata, underneath the kata, within the kata. So yes, they are all the same state of mind. 1, 2, 3, you should be struggling to memorize the techniques, the kata.
One thing I only know, I also like to talk about it, about when should I teach? That's something you wrote about. Because why I'm doing this question? Because nowadays it has evolved a bit more, the grading system in our country. But when we started, there was anybody.
Yes.
So we were like no graders training, and we trusted one teacher that is still a really good teacher to start training all of us. And at the beginning, we I don't know. That's a really good question, because
stopped hearing you.
Can you hear us?
Now you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you. No. Can you hear us, Nick? You can hear us? Okay. When should you start teaching? You fix that. Pam will tell you, and I'll tell you when you should start teaching. Now, today. Start teaching today. When I started learning, I started Aikido in 1980, and I began teaching very shortly after that because our sensei came in once a week, and then for 2 more classes during the week, we had another fellow who taught, but sometimes I would teach. After about 6 months, I would teach. It was just a matter of going over what we had learned on Sunday, so it wasn't a big deal. But when I started doing Iaido, which was with Omi Sensei, which was 1987, so 7 years after that, I would go to Toronto, practice with Omi Sensei on Saturday or Sundays, whatever, I can't remember. And then I would come back to Guelph, and I started a club, and I started teaching. So I was 1 week ahead of our class, 1 week ahead of my students. I never told them that. And several years afterwards, one of them was just infuriated that I was only a week ahead of him and I was calling myself sensei. You can teach anytime because you teach what you know. Don't invent stuff. Don't make stuff up. Try not to fill in with any other martial art. But if you're teaching another martial art, of course you can teach this martial art. If you can run a class, you can teach it. You teach what you know. You practice what you're told. I don't like the idea. There's people around who say, oh, I want to do this or that martial art, and may I start a study group? I don't like that. I mean, if you've got a study group, what's going on? Is there somebody up in front of the class that's actually telling them, okay, let's try this now, let's try that now? If there is, that's not a study group. That's a class. That's somebody with sensei means gone before. It doesn't mean you got a fifth dan.
Yes.
So, you understand? I started. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I started with 0. I started with no grade. We had no grades for 10 years, maybe 8 years. I don't know. But some of my students here at Guelph went off to, they graduated, they'd go off to other cities. And, you know, once they left, I said, go teach. They were usually third dan. And they're some of the best teachers in the country now. And most of that happened because they were teaching and thinking. You got to think, you got to ask the why question. If you're a teacher and you just stop learning and stop thinking about it and stop progressing, and I don't mean getting more grades, I mean just stop progressing, then you can only teach to that level. You can't stay ahead of your students. And if that happens, if you've got a student that you've got them up to a really good level, as good as you've got to give them to somebody else. You've got to say, go practice with so-and-so.
Yeah.
If not, you're not doing your job as a teacher. And it's a good thing. If you get a student that becomes better than you, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. This one here, I expect to get better than me. In some things. She's still working on it. I'm still ahead of her for a little bit.
What happened to us, or at least to myself, that our students got better much faster than we did. So it is hard to keep being not the best, because I don't know, I'm not looking for being the best at the dojo, because some of my students, for example, in competitions, are better than me. but at least always having something learned so I can teach.
Yes.
And that's really hard.
Teaching does not mean being better than your students. Teaching does not mean demonstrating perfect kata. Teaching is to be able to get your student to a level higher than they are now. You don't have to be better than your students. You have to be ahead of them. And the reason you have to be ahead, there's a difference between ahead and better. Ahead means you know the problem that they are about to face, and you can help them over that problem. Sometimes that means inventing exercises. If they have a hitch in their nuki or something, you've got to be able to look at that and try to figure out where it is that it's happening. One of the best teachers I've ever met in any martial art was Haruna Sensei from Ohara in Okayama. And he came over in 1991 and was here until he died. But he had the ability to look at somebody who was practicing, and if they had a problem with their swing, with their cut or something like that, he had the ability to actually go back down the chain of events and say, fix your foot here. And when you fixed your foot, your cut works.
Yeah.
That's a special skill. That's a very, it has nothing to do with how good you are at your martial art. It has a lot to do with how well you can look. And you can learn that. Can you learn that?
Yeah.
Do you use it for your students?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. See, I'm not lying.
Yes, I think that when I started teaching, I used to see many things to improve. So I didn't know, okay, where should I start? What's the first thing I should tell them? And sometimes I tried something and it got it didn't went the way I expected. So it took me a few years, and I think it's going to be, I hope it will improve in the future, to say, okay, I don't mind this, I won't mind of if they do these mistakes. I will start with, I don't know, the feet, and after the feet, maybe I focus on something else, because I'm not, I don't feel I am like, how do you say, when you have really good skills, I didn't learn fast. It took my time, because I'm those kind of people that can't think or feel the arms and the feet at the same time. So I had to make like it's like a pyramid. Okay, these are the base, the basics, or the base, what will make them improve the rest, maybe by themselves, and that takes time.
Yes. No, you have it. Pam has a story about teaching and saying the wrong thing, and I'm pretty sure I know what she's going to say. So let her tell you the story.
So, and I started similarly. I think I was a third dan, just barely a third dan when I started teaching in Kitchener. So I'm always really grateful to my students for letting me practice teaching on them. They enjoy my instruction, but I'm really grateful. But there was this one time I was working and I noticed two problems. One was a footwork problem, one was a cut problem, and I gave him both the hand change and the foot change at the same time, and it just went splat. Didn't get any of it. I was like, oh gosh, I'm sorry, that's totally my fault. I should know better even. Like, oh. So we backed it up, and I always feel that you should fix the feet first. So we did that, and we were able to fix that, and it actually made the cut better, because usually that's how it works. And but especially beginners, you can't say, okay, now fix these three things, and they'll just be like, what? So, it does take practice. Teaching is a separate but not unrelated skill.
Mm.
So the hardest thing to learn as a teacher, the very hardest thing to learn is to shut up.
Yeah.
I know many people that when you're saying, look after this, they say, oh, that it's because I was thinking about, I don't care. I don't want to be mean, but I don't care. Just, I give you a suggestion, just think about that, take it home.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you asked, or you mentioned that your students learn faster than you. That's, of course they do, because you had to learn it yourself. And then they had the benefit of all the mistakes you made. They're not making those mistakes. They're not making them. So they are to get better faster. One problem with that is that they didn't make all your mistakes. And so they don't know in the deepest part of their mind, in their hara, they don't know that's why you do this. They simply think, okay, that's why you do this. So part of your job as a teacher is to, at some point, try to get them out of that perfection sickness where they think, oh, it's this way. It's always been this way. We must do it this way. And yet, that's not true. If you look back, I just looked at a video of Nakakura Sensei. Somebody took it off their VHS and put it onto YouTube. And it's interesting because, again, I had a fellow point it out to me and then say, well, what's he doing? I mean, 10, 11, 12 weren't even invented yet. What's he doing? Well, he was doing three koryu, three old school, and then he did some sete. But the sete he was doing was not what we do today. And I'm writing out my notes and putting them up on Facebook. Some people may have seen those. And the instructions for sete in there is not the same. What we do, so it's your job as a teacher to say, look, this is how we do it now, but it's not how it's always been done. And there's a reason for that. And even if the reason is only this way and you pass, even if that's the only reason, it's still a reason. There's a reason why we do what we do. And if we don't know the reason for it, we need to go look. Go see what that reason is.
Here is a technical question, maybe.
Yeah, we have a few questions, I think.
Okay, 3 stages in an Iaido kata: before the cut, during the cut, and after the cut. Okay, we need only because this is Dan Tan Zan is what he calls it. Oh, that's it, Sen Dan Tan Zan. Okay, somebody's been reading. All right, so in an Iai kata, first of all, you have to know why you're doing the kata. Why is this thing happening? And if it's happening that you've been attacked suddenly, then that's one stage, one set of stages of what to do. But in this one, when we do Iai, when we do Mai, let's say, we'll start with that. The instructions in the book say that detecting his intent to attack you, you attack first. How do you detect his intent to attack? Well, that's only possible if you are open. So this is the stage of the dew falling onto the grass blade. So imagine it's misty, it's dew out there, and the blade is just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. The moment at which you attack is the moment that a drop falls from the grass. There's only one moment that happens. If you look at it, if you look at a drip on a tap, can you tell exactly when it's going to come down? Yes, you can. If you're open, if you're have opened yourself up, if you've cut your chest open and allowed your heart to see this, then then it is. She doesn't like it when I get woo woo. Then
That wasn't woo, that was graphic.
So this is the moment at which the technique happens. The moment at which you draw and cut is the moment at which the drop happens. And what happens afterwards? There's a slight rebound. There's a slight yoing. So if you hit a gong, if you hit a bell, there's a reverberation that goes on for quite a long time. So zan is zanshin. So I've run across the phrase ishin, which is awareness before, and then the technique, and then the awareness afterward. So this is really it's a stage that happens almost. It should be happening right after you've learned the kata. You can't start with this because what you get is a lot of posturing and kabuki. But once you know the kata, where do you go next? Well, the next thing you do is you try to get this feeling of swelling, this feeling of the drop getting bigger, this feeling of yourself opening up to what's happening. Enzen no metsuke. And then when you do the technique, you focus, you look right at what's happening. And it's that look that can actually cause your opponent to hesitate, to falter. So there's a razor sharp focus right at that point. And then after that happens, after the kata is over, Enzen no metsuke once more. There's an awareness of what's happening around you once more. So I hope that answers the question.
You made me remember about sometimes I think about kata. It's the same for Iaido and Kendo kata. Like a dance, at the beginning you have to learn the choreography. You cannot expect anybody to feel anything if they are thinking which feet is going to go where and where is your hand. But so I always tell my student, if you want to enjoy kata, try to pass that stage, and you will start like feeling the kata like, oh, this has changed. This is, I don't know, it's I'm having a better time doing this than thinking where the tip of the sword is.
Yeah. Absolutely. The only place where we see a group of people just spontaneously erupt into a dance, perfectly choreographed. The only place we see that is in the movies. And little secret, they practiced. They start dancing.
There's another technical question here. Any tips on how to practice visualizing the kata technique?
Okay. I'll tell you a secret, and then Pam will say no, because she can do it and I can't. I have never actually seen an invisible opponent. I just haven't. But what I can do from my partner practice and from thinking very hard, I can imagine if I cut and I'm cutting this way or something, and my opening cut is kind of wavery or something, or if I bring my sword back and I turn it up too fast, I can imagine that they can then strike my sword up. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine what I would do if I was there fighting me. Now, Pam says she can actually see her kasoteki, and I think she's
bullshit.
No, what's the word I said?
Oh,
psychotic.
Insane.
I think you're psychotic.
Okay.
But Bill Mears, an instructor around here a long time ago, unfortunately passed with a heart attack many years ago. But he used to take his sword and take it out front, and then he would look at the tip of the sword, and he would focus on that. That's how he would bring his Zen no Etsuke in. What I suggest to my people is to focus on something across the room. If somebody knows what your eyes look like at this distance, run away, because they're just too good. They're too good. But I could focus just across the room here, and then I can focus here. Can you tell by the movement of my eyes where my point of focus is? No, that's a little.
Oh, yeah. Even looking at your tiny face on the screen, I can tell the difference.
I don't know a tiny face.
Thank you for the tiny face. I don't know what you were talking about.
But so how do you deal with a kasoteki? Kasoteki is somebody who is as good as you for a while. Or sorry, somebody who's not quite as good as you are for a while. This is a little off the topic, a little off the question. So you always win. After a while, you have to make your kasoteki as good as you are. Maybe Sandan, you allow your kasoteki to be as good as you are. And then at around maybe Godan, you have to have a kasoteki who is better than you. You have to fight to stay alive in every single kata you do. So, yeah, I don't know how to visualize. Can you advise how to do that?
No.
Oh.
I learned it when I was like 10.
You had an invisible friend.
Many.
Okay. Now I've made her sad.
It's okay. Now I have real friends.
I have never seen kasoteki either. I realized that, okay, I'm looking at the wall in front of me. I know where to look, but it's hard to really know how far.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I think I'm doing it right, and then in Kendo I think, oh no, it's not working. It's not. You
need to take the feeling.
It was going to be.
Yeah. You need to take the feeling of where your opponent is in Kendo when you make a proper strike. You have to take the feeling, that awareness of that distance, and you have to take that back to Iaido. It's one of the most difficult things in Iaido you can do. It's hard unless you do a partner practice, partner weapons practice. It's very hard. Even in Jodo, the Jo is a little bit too long, so you can overreach with your Iai. Whereas on the sword side, you can understand it from Jodo and take that back to Iaido. Jo side is a little too long, and so your Iaido is going to be a little bit too much reach. Omi Sensei always made the distinction between Kendo and Iai, in that in Kendo, you're going after him, and in Iaido, you're allowing him to come into you. So that would help us straighten up just a bit, but it was still a little difficult to understand exactly where he is until you do. Try. How's that? Keep trying. There, that's my answer.
So, technical things aside, I would like to talk about a bit being a senpai in the dojo, because sometimes many people take that as a privilege, but not as a responsibility. I think you wrote that, for example, you are in front of the line so they can see you, not because you deserve to be at the front of the line, like, oh, you earned it, be here, please. But so the new people can look at you and learn how you move, where to stand. And
Yeah.
and you also said about gradings, that sometimes the lower ranks are like harder graders than, how do you say, harder
judges, harder judges.
Hi, thank you. Harder judges than higher rankers. Why do you think that happens?
Because they're afraid of making a mistake, because they're afraid of screwing up. So a judge who's not experienced and has not been on panels for many years and has not been trained very well will be afraid of making a mistake. So
rookie administrators are the same way.
Yeah, that's right. And you run across them all the time at work. You know, the new guy that's just promoted. He just he's like, dude, chill. So, but you see this. You also see it sometimes in well, never mind. But the idea is that when you have junior judges, the situation is, in their mind, the situation is more about them than it is about the students, the challengers. And so they worry about themselves and who can give you hell if you fail somebody. I mean, it's fine. The worst thing that they can do is pass somebody that didn't deserve to be passed. This is what they're thinking, and it's not right. It's not true. There's a certain, anyway, so that's where that is. Now, as far as the senpai is concerned, yes, I know clubs that you are senpai and it's a title and you use it and everybody's supposed to call you senpai. And there are other clubs that when you get to a certain rank, you are an assistant instructor. And sometimes that's so that they can get into the class for free because they're in a whatever, I'm thinking JCCC in Toronto. And so their assistant instructors get in for free. They don't have to pay for the classes. So when you get to Godan, you are an assistant instructor. You're coming in for free. Yeah, but to go back to senpai. Do we have a senpai? We don't have a senpai. I have too much ego. That much. I won't even give that much away to my students. If you're in my class, you're a student. And I don't like this lining up by rank either, because that means that the beginners are down the other end and they're abandoned. They don't know what they're doing and they've got nobody to look at.
Yes, you've put the guy with the least amount of experience down at the end with nobody on one side and the guy with the second least amount of experience on his other side. And he's just like, what are we doing? Yeah, you always mix it up.
So what happens when you have a rank and you're put out front? You have to do what Kurogo Sensei calls teaching from your back. You have to be aware that the beginners are behind you and that they're learning and they're learning from you. You're teaching them with your back. So you don't do your own thing. You don't screw up. You don't get mad. You don't stop. You remember that they're back there. So you do the best you can to teach. When the senior students are behind the beginners, they're there for the same reason, but they do things a little bit differently. When the beginners start to act up, they smack them on the head with their shinai. So this is it. Wherever you are, in the class as a senior or as senpai, and how many senpai do you have in a class? I don't know, 1, 12. I guess she's senpai when it's only she and I in class. There's nobody else there. Then I guess she gets to be the senior student.
Okay.
Weird way to look at it.
So about another topic that interests that I'm starting to speak not that good. So another issue that is in my mind is organization. The organizations behind the dojos, for example, the associations, the federations. I started to think that they are really important, at least in big countries like ours, because sometimes there are people that are really, really far away from the upgraders, and they need like a system to help them to be more in touch with other people, so they can learn better. I don't know.
Yeah. Fashions from Paris. So you have to know the current fashion of what's going on. You have to know how to pass the grading. That's important if grades are important to you. Organizations, what do organizations do? What do the Kendo Federation do for us? It brings us together. It provides us with Kendo Kata or Sete Iai or Sete Jo. It gives us a way to practice with each other, and it gives us a grading system. So absolutely, we need to have the organization to allow us to do that. Now, if an organization says, okay, we're going to have gradings, and you guys down in Tierra del Fuego, who cares? You should get up here to where's your capital? Buenos Aires? Yeah. So you need to come to Buenos Aires. If you care, you need to come here. Yeah, it's the same as Canada. You know, if you're in Saskatoon, you need to come to Toronto to grade. Well, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I think what we're doing right now with this pandemic, I think we are learning a different way. I have been yelling about doing video gradings in this country, this massive country of ours. I've been yelling about that for many, many years. When you do 1, 2, and 3 dan, you can do it over video because you don't need to see anything more than what you can see on a video. Now, beyond that, yeah, you have to be there in the room to see exactly what they're doing. But for 1, 2, 3, why not do video gradings? Why not have regular meetings over Zoom, over what's this thing, over whatever this thing is? StreamYard, over whatever. Why don't you have regular meetings with the seniors and just outline okay, who's got a problem? What is this? Well, I think we should be doing this. Well, no, because we do this. In other words, have the arguments you have at every seminar over the video and settle it then. And then when you do get to the seminar, you can just practice instead of having. I've seen people arguing with senior instructors. No, that's not the way you do it. Like, no. Don't.
One thing about organization is that sometimes the lower graders are better organizing than higher rank. So, but they don't like taking the risk to go and say something because I'm not supposed to. That's the feeling I think they have. Like, who am I? Like, for example, it happened to me. Okay, who am I? I'm a third dan. Who am I to say, let's do it this other way, not that way? To a 5th dan, a 6th dan. So, do you have any suggestions about how to get involved in that without that concern?
Absolutely. And it's very simple. Tachi-ai is the name you're reaching for there. It's the title. It's the position. Tachi-ai. That's the person who organizes the gradings and sets everything out. In the Kendo Federation, to run a grading correctly, what you do is you bring in the judges. They don't see. You might have a seminar beforehand, but somebody else is teaching the seminar, not the judges. The judges come in a separate room. They sit there. The Tachi-ai organizes. Tachi-ai can be anybody, somebody who is good at organizing, absolutely. And they organize the thing, and then they come in and they say to the judges, okay, this is how it's going to run. This is what's happening. The judges go out, they sit, they grade, they give their results in. The results are tabulated. The secretary comes over and shows, not the head judge, the guy on his left, shows him the results. And he looks, and just to make sure they didn't miss anybody. And then he says, yep, okay. And then just go away. That's how it's supposed to happen. Now, of course, we don't have enough people to worry about that or to do it that way. We don't have the people. But in the Kendo, or in our federation, we do have a Tachi-ai. And at one point, apparently, I told him something, because at one grading, as the head judge, as the top guy in Canada for Jodo, I said, okay, let's save some time here. We're going to do it this way. And he said to me, he just turned to me and he said, Kim, shut up. What? And he looked at me and he said, you told me to tell you to shut up when you started to stick your nose into things when you're not supposed to be arranging things. So yeah, the one thing you don't want to see is the judges out there, putting the tape on the floor and fixing things. No. They come on, they do their job, they go away.
Now, every organization that's growing up is going to go through a period where it's the top guys who are doing that stuff because they're the only guys who know how. But it's something that you'll grow out of eventually. We all do. Canada's kind of just getting past that zone.
Halfway there.
Yeah.
It happened to me to be the Tachi-ai in one event, and I had a problem that the main judge started saying, "Okay, chairs. No, not chairs," and then said, "Okay, you can sit down. No, but no, you should be standing up." So back then I didn't have the courage to say, please stop making people feel uncomfortable. They are already in a big stress. But I think we need to start, like you said, step by step, taking the courage to do it in a nice way. I don't think I'm going to say no. I will never say, shut up.
I don't care if people say that to me. But the thing is, the head judge, the job of the head judge is to make sure that everything runs well and to be concerned first of all with the challengers. So the head judge has a lot of power. And he can actually say, if somebody comes up and says, oh, no, I mean, like, where these guys do this, do that, the head judge has the power to say, stop, we'll run like this. It's no problem. The hardest job for a head judge to do is to say, it's okay. We'll do it that way. That's a hard thing to do. Most people want the power. They want to be the head judge. And then they're going to demonstrate, you do this, you do that, and it's all got to be done exactly right. And it's all got to be done like they do it in Tokyo and whatever. But no, it's not your job. Your job is to make sure. And the worst is to walk in there and say, no, we'll change this. It will actually make people quit. It really will. You go in there for a grading, you're nervous. It's your first one, it's your second one, maybe. And you go in there and you say, oh, you know, I don't know if I can do this. And then the head judge says, you're going to do something else. If you're doing a grading for a 5th dan, a 6th dan, no problem for a 7 dan. They'll just say, okay. That's part of being 6th dan. You don't ask the EQs to do that. That's insane. I've seen it. It's insane.
Yeah.
So, was there questions there?
Any questions unanswered?
Like to thank you. Could you explain? We have talked about that. I think there was. I had a question here. It was from Instagram. Oh, it's a hard one to translate. I will start with the next one, which is easier. They would like us to talk about how to apply, if it is possible, the values of Budo in our daily life, and if it is necessary or important to do that.
Sorry, to
apply the lessons of Budo in daily life.
Of course, Budo is all about daily life. Am I okay? Yeah. Can you hear me? You're hearing me? Yes. Okay. All right. So Budo is all about daily life. What's the point? What is the point of swinging a sword around if it's not about your daily life? Absolutely. This is the secret. This is the stuff that we don't tell people, beginners. We don't tell them that. We simply say, yes, you're in here and you get to wear samurai clothes and you get to swing a samurai sword and you know, it's just like in the anime and yeah, let's go. But really, shall I tell you a very personal story? Okay. Yes. Every kata includes practice in how to die. So a year ago, I learned I have stage 4 cancer and a whole bunch of other things. But basically, I had a very, very aggressive form of prostate cancer. And I was, if I had not been treated, I was dead in a month or 2. I mean, it was that aggressive. And I was going downhill that fast. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. There were 1 or 2 times when I became scared. But mostly because I have been dying for 40 years, because I've been practicing for death for 40 years, the same way as a Zen monk might meditate on impermanence. I had been meditating on my own death. And this is the koan that Hakuin, one of the great Zen teachers, every Rinzai Zen master goes back to his lineage. And he gave the samurai, their very first koan was, think about dying. Yes, Budo's applicable. Absolutely, it's applicable to your daily life. It allowed me to be very calm all the way through that. My doctor was more upset about me having that diagnosis than I was. I had to calm him down. So this is the practical use of Budo, not swinging your sword at bad guys in the alleyways. That's no. But don't tell anybody that. Don't tell the beginners that, because they want to be Superman. They want to be Batman.
Okay, there is no way to do that. I think it's very personal to look of which tools I can learn from practicing Iaido, Jodo, Kendo, whatever.
Yeah.
And how can I apply that to my life, or how can I practice in a way I start like having a specific mindset that will help me in other things in my life. I think there's no one way to do that. But it can depend on each person.
You will get out of Budo what you bring into it, and you will get out of Budo what you go in looking for. Having said that, that's short term. You will, but if you simply practice Budo for a long time, and I'm saying the typical, oh, you must practice for 30 years. If you practice Budo for 30 years, you will be a better person. You'll be 30 years older. There's research out there. And actually on my website, there's a bunch of free books, and one of them is, or a couple of them are on self-defense. And one of them is, during that research that I was doing for those, I wrote another book called The Psychological Effects of Martial Arts, or something like that. And in there, you will find a lot of research that just compares what happens when people practice martial arts and trying to get a handle on what it does and how it does it. And one of the things that the problem you have it outlines many of the problems with trying to prove that martial arts helps. But it's like trying to prove that meditation helps. It's really difficult to do that. But the best you can do is look at people who've done it for many, many, many years, and they say it's a good thing. And you just have to accept. You just have to trust them. Trust the old men, you know. Just if the old men say it's a bad idea, maybe listen to them. Or you can put your face in the meat grinder and gee, it hurts. And then you learn it. You learn it either way. I used to like the old men.
Well, if you don't mind, I will ask you for the link, so I put it then in the comments of the video. So if people want to read about that, they can look for it.
Oh, the book, to go get the book? Yeah. Okay. It's.
I think you said it was online. Yeah. Okay.
It's on SDK Supplies. So HTTPS. Yeah. SDKsupplies.com.
Okay.
And then just look at for the link on free ebooks.
Okay. They're all in English.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that for today, more than enough. I'm really happy about this conversation. I really appreciate the time you took to speak with me and to the people who are listening. So thank you very much. And for all the people that are watching this video and don't know about, you are giving Tanjo lessons. So if you would like to invite anybody or say how to participate.
Yeah, this person and this person are invited, and the rest of you know.
Which one? I thought you were
actually, it's not us that are doing the Tanjo. It's Chile.
Yeah, we're teaching it, but Guillermo is hosting.
He's hosting it. So they're his classes. So actually, if you want to just refer them over to him, you've got his email, I'm sure.
Yeah, or I can, Nico, I can send you the link if that helps. No, you have it. You've been in the classes. What am I saying?
Yes. So
we have about 50 people, and I think we can do 100. We have about 50, so we're lots of room.
So if anybody wants to participate in the classes, they can write me, and I will contact them with Guillermo. Okay.
So also. I don't know how many of you know this, but in Guelph, we usually have a big seminar on the May long weekend. This year, we can't do that as normal, but we're planning on hosting a suite of video classes that weekend. It'll be May 16, 17, 18. And the Sei Do Kai website, which I think is just seidokai.ca,
Yeah.
will eventually have all of the information you need to join. So
Okay.
anyone who wants to join in is welcome. Hopefully we don't max out our capacity.
Okay, so I will try to search for those links after this we finish. And
we have a meeting scheduled for right now to put these details together, because we just kind of decided last week that we were going to go for it.
Okay. Okay, thank you again very much for being with us. And see you tomorrow in class.
Okay, tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.